France had been watching Mali for months. A military coup created instability, opening the door for Islamist and separatist Tuaregs to launch attacks, seizing ground and giving them space to welcome foreign jihadists, much as in Afghanistan in the 1990s. As the Islamists and their allies prepared to move against Mali's capital, France's army moved in, starting with a massive campaign of aerial bombardment.
Airstrikes like this were the easy part. They drove the al-Qaeda-linked Islamists out into the desert, into the scrub, where they still pose a threat. There are signs they are launching an insurgency.
Suicide bombings began within a month, this one at a Malian army checkpoint that we'd passed through only hours earlier. We slept along the banks of the Niger River, a beautiful place that the Islamists liked too. Take a look at the AK-47 damage on the wall. The rebels blasted their way into this house months earlier. This week they returned, launching an attack by canoe, arriving, we believe, not far from that house we'd stayed in along the river. The Islamists used weapons dispersed across Africa when Gaddafi's Libya came crashing down. Our journey across Mali was stunning at times, driving in the more volatile regions inside a long French military convoy. We saw primitive villages built of mud baked by the scorching sun, the hand of Fatima in the mountains, and incredible colors in the markets. But the French want to leave Mali before they get dragged in further. They plan to begin their withdrawal next month, leaving the country to its fledgling army and the Islamists cornered in the vast north, an ungoverned desert with porous borders in one of the world's primary drug trafficking routes.
They will not give up the desert. This is where they have invested the most, and they know for sure that an international longer presence will not be sustainable.
Adam Thiam believes Mali is in the crosshairs of the West, a new front in the global war on terror. Consider the rash of very profitable kidnappings of Westerners for ransom in the region over the past decade, including Canada's Robert Fowler.
De la télévision canadienne.
Enchanté, moi c'est Didier Darko.
Colonel Major Didier Darko is the top military commander in Gao. It is Mali's gateway to the desert and the jihadist hideout. Darko points to recent arrests, including these men from Niger and Algeria.
In Mali, what we have is not only jihadists from our nation, from this country. We have got some ID cards from people from Sudan, people from Tunisia, people from Western Sahara, and people from many other countries. Not only Arab countries, but even from Pakistan.
Yet vast numbers of the rebels are Malian, a diverse group with differing goals, some of whom are jihadists. That so many come from here, says Adam Thiam, means they will be much harder to root out.
What makes it different from Afghanistan is the jihadist is in my family. He's not in a camp. He lives in my family. He goes to mosque and he will follow all the instructions coming from his hierarchy.
As we drove through Mali, crowds of newly liberated villagers would cheer as French forces passed through. But the city of Gao, a stronghold for the rebels only days earlier, was different. We met this man who told us life under the Islamists wasn't at all bad. There was order and respect for Sharia law, and besides, even before the Islamists took over, it wasn't as if the Malian government did anything here. Thiam agrees the government is nowhere to be found in this region.
If you go beyond 50 kilometers from Timbuktu, you will never meet the state. There are people in this community who have never seen a Malian doctor, a Malian teacher, a Malian soldier. The ethnic groups have told me that our problem is not the jihadists, our problem is the Malian state, which we never see.
That's why Western militaries have offered assistance, including Canada.
Just down the road in Niger, on the opposite side of the border, and over there in Mauritania, the other side of the border, Canadian Special Forces soldiers have been training African troops. Those troops will soon deploy here to help keep the peace.
Even after the French leave, the West will remain focused on this region. No other nation wanted to commit large numbers of troops to this fight, not in the wake of Afghanistan and Iraq, and not with reports the Malian army was engaging in massacres akin to ethnic cleansing against the Tuareg minority. But the jihadists here have sanctuary, and more importantly, they have the time. David Common, CBC News in Gao, Mali.